Good evening and happy Wednesday night. I'm Dr. Andrew Merrill here at Nightlight Chiropractic, and this is Wednesday Night Wellness Live. And it's a video that we do each and every week that basically highlights the questions that we're getting from our patients here in the clinic and also the broadest topics that are happening out there in the world. And I've spent a lot of these videos, unfortunately, talking about coronavirus in the last few weeks, and tonight we're not going to do that. I got a question here this week that is a fantastic question that we get all the time, and it's pertinent to you probably, and if it's not pertinent to you, then I'm sure that it's pertinent to somebody that you know. And it is aptly titled, "Can I just crack my own back?" And then I've also put, should you, could you, and would you? So tonight we're talking about adjusting yourself. So self-manipulation is what it's called in the literature. And it's when you use your own body or your own hands or something else to make your own joints crack and move and adjust. And we've talked before about what the spine looks like and how it's shaped. And basically each spinal segment is connected to the next with two joints in the back. And those joints function very similarly to your knuckles. They're a joint space. They're surrounded by synovial fluid. They pressurize. You can crack that and then you expand it just a little bit so that the joint depressurizes. And that's what you're doing when you self-adjust or self-manipulate or crack your own back. And we get this question all the time. Why would I go to a chiropractor when I can just crack my own back? Here, watch this. And whatever this is, sometimes it's like horribly scary for a chiropractor. And sometimes it's, very mundane stuff. And so I wanted to kind of go over the broadest strokes about the answer to this question, because it's not as simple a question as you think, right? You want a straightforward answer. Yes, go ahead and adjust yourself, do whatever you want. Or no, you should never do that. But it's very gray, right? Especially in the literature. And I scoured the literature a little bit today for you, the viewer here this evening, because I don't want to just be spitting off my normal answer unless my normal answer is what the research states. So I've looked through some of that research for you here, and it's kind of shocking what I found. It's probably not what I was expecting. So I'm going to share some of that with you. But first we have to go through the should you, and then the could you, and then the would you of what we're talking about here. So always recommended to have a spinal professional, be it a chiropractor, an orthopedic doctor, medical doctor, whoever it is, looking at this for you. But should you do this? Well, cracking your back isn't generally harmful, right? I mean, there's a long history of people doing this. You don't typically see any negative side effects to self-adjusting or self-manipulating, except that the problem is when you do, the side effects go from very mild to horrible, debilitating, and potentially deadly. So let's see. Oftentimes what you're doing when you're adjusting yourself versus having me adjust you or the chiropractor adjust you, what you're doing is you're moving the easiest joint to get moving in your spine, right? So when you crack your knuckle, you know exactly what joint you just moved, right? You got that exact joint. You know that that's the one that moved. But when you are moving your spine, oftentimes you can't even differentiate one level from the next because there's 24 movable parts and each one of those has multiple joints attached to it. So what you end up is maybe moving the easiest movable joint. Your body shoots out these endorphins, so it makes you feel like you've done a good thing and you feel good. Except the problem is that your pain comes right back, right? Whether it's 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is later, you end up back with the same pain that you just had before you cracked your own neck or your own back, right? And so did you really do any good? Probably not, right? So if you take the hypermobile joint and move that, you're not going to get much benefit from it. You're going to get a quick 10, 15 minutes of endorphins pumping, a little bit of time for your joints to be stimulating your brain, telling you that you feel good. And then after that, your pain's coming rip-roaring right back because you didn't actually fix what was going on. So what a chiropractor does that's different than what you can do to yourself is that we find the joint that's stuck and then get it moving. And I need you to understand, when I'm telling patients this, and I tell patients this all the time, I cannot adjust myself very well either, right? So I can't figure out exactly what's stuck in me. Dr. Bass makes fun of me all the time, right? Because he'll come in and I'll be like shaking and moving and grinding, and he's like, you just can't get it, can you, doc? And that's the truth, right? You cannot adjust yourself as good as you can adjust somebody else when you're a chiropractor. Let's see, I got a question here. What does it mean when you get a good release? So a good release means that you have gotten the joint that was hypermobile and pressurized, hypomobile, which means not moving very well. You got it to cavitate, which means that it is moving better than it was when you started. So when chiropractors or when individuals talk about a good release, they're talking about finding the joint that was stuck and not moving and then getting that joint moving again. So it's important to understand that the should you portion of this falls into, are you getting relief when you're doing this? Because if you're not getting much relief, if your pain is coming right back within minutes or maybe 30 minutes of you doing this, then I would argue that you're doing yourself a disservice. You should go see a spinal professional. If, however, you do this once right when you wake up and then you don't have to do it for the rest of the day, go for it. Go for it. That's my best answer, is just go for it. And there's probably some chiropractors that are going to watch this. There's going to be somebody that shows it to their chiropractor and they're going to say, that's dangerous, Wade. That's so scary. Why would a chiropractor be saying that? And it's because it's true. I've looked in the research. I've looked at it. I've looked at the same research that you've looked at. And I can tell you what's going to cause injury and what's not going to cause injury. And we're going to cover that here in just a second. But understand that if it's not painful when you're doing it and it gives you relief all day so that you're not having to do it again and again, then it's probably safe and it's probably nothing harmful to it for you. So that's the should you do it. Could you do it? Well, are you getting pain when you're doing this? If it hurts when you're doing this, when you're self-adjusting, self-manipulating, popping your own back, whatever, you need to stop. You need to not do that again. You need to go see a professional because there's some joint damage that can happen. There's some muscle strains that can happen. And then worse, and like I said, we'll talk about it in just 1 second. I can't wait to get to this research that I found for you here today because it's just startling to me. But it's safe to gently stretch. If something goes pop, then that's what you get, and that's fine. So if you're getting cracking, if you're getting an adjustment, if you're getting a self-manipulation from just stretching a normal kind of range of motion, go for it. If you can just wiggle your head a little bit and it pops and clicks, go for it. There's nothing negative about that. If you're having to force something, say use your hands to wrench your neck, use a chair to kind of spin around in, use some other device. I mean, God only knows, I hear stuff all the time about the devices people use that are going to help them to get their back to pop. It's just kind of scary. And a lot of them are sold on Amazon. I don't know if any of them, more than FDA cleared for you to lay on. I don't know if they're beneficial for you. So my argument would be careful if you have a device that you use to get your back to pop. So I've got another question here real quick. Should I do yoga after leaving your office? And that's fine. There's nothing negative about doing yoga. If you go to the chiropractor and they're working on some muscles and they're working on some joints, what you should leave is feeling looser. Right? You should leave feeling like your spine has better range of motion, and that is an ideal time, in my opinion, to go do some extra stretching to get some better range of motion, to actually stretch other tissues. So when the joint's not moving, it's the end feel, it's not going to let anything else move. When the joint is moving, you get a better stretch in the muscles and the ligaments. So I would say, yes, you can do yoga, you can do stretching, you can do almost any activity after we get you adjusted. I think we covered that in a different video, but the only thing that I might argue against is doing the heaviest lifting. So if you're like a competitive lifter or a power lifter, I'd be a little bit careful trying to get your max weight after you see the chiropractor, because we do stretch out certain tissues and they're not quite as strong as they would be if they weren't as stretched out. That's a topic for a different time here though. Let's see. Pink roller, that's right, use the roller. I got another question about rollers. So I recommend these foam rollers all the time. And I highly recommend that you're using those, but only for stretching, not for popping your back, right? So it's different, remember? And I think I talked to you about that when I recommended it. You can use these foam rollers to get a great stretch in your spine and your joints. And sometimes those joints might even cavitate, but we see injuries from those rollers as well because people like to bounce on them. It's called a roller. It's called a foam roller, people, but people are bouncing on them and injuring ribs. They end up with some fractures occasionally. It's a very negative thing. So anything that you're using as a device to help you crack your back, be extra careful, because a lot of these injuries that aren't even reported in the literature come from those devices. So I wanted to talk to you about the worst case scenario for this self-manipulation, and that is ending up dead. Right? So this came back in the literature a bunch of times. Again, if you look at pubmed.gov, that's where I recommend everyone goes to see the real research, and you type in self-manipulation, you'll see the worst of the worst cases where somebody has been trying to crack their own neck and they've ended up causing a vertebral artery dissection and then death. And so this move right here, when you see somebody take their hand and their other hand and try and do rotation, is the kind of thing that has really bad side effects. And if you know somebody is doing it, you should encourage them to stop. So I'm going to show you something in just a minute here that is a good alternative to that. But that rotation move is the one that gets you bad result. And I don't do it here in my office. When I'm adjusting somebody, we go into lateral flexion with force. There's no rotation because rotation has the potential to be deadly. So that is the worst case scenario. That is the Could you, and could you really injure yourself? Yes. So as long as you're following those rules, don't use lots of force and avoid that rotation, avoid any outside devices that might help you to get better cracking, then yes, you're still okay. So now would you? Would you adjust yourself if you could, if you had some different alternatives or some different ways that you could get your spine moving? Would you do that before you went to the chiropractor? And if you say no here, I kind of find that weird, right? Because I recommend to my patients all the time, you should be stretching, you should be icing this, you should be active, you should be getting motion, you should be doing all kinds of other things to avoid running into the chiropractor every time you have every little ache and pain. And that's important, I think, right? So it's important for me because we'd be overrun with patients very quickly. If every time somebody slept on their couch wrong and they said, oh, my neck kind of hurts, I'm going into Dr. Merrill, we would be overrun. We wouldn't have enough space. We wouldn't have enough rooms to treat all these different patients. And so I always recommend take care of some of this yourself before you just jump right into rushing to the chiropractor, rushing in to see me. Certainly we like to see you, but if this is something that you can fix with a quick stretch, just do that. So we're going to cover that here in just a second. So would you, the should you and could you parts we've just covered. The would you part of this is would you please be safe and careful when you are adjusting yourself. So let's talk about that, right? If you're getting relief when you're cracking it, it's only happening one time per day, go for it. Keep doing it. It's not advised that you ever have friends, family members, somebody else help you as well, right? So much like those devices, somebody outside of you can create extra force and that ups that risk and that danger. So the worst that we've seen here is somebody who's walking on somebody else's back, they slide off just a little bit, break a rib, you end up in the emergency room instead of the chiropractor. It's a whole different ball game. It's not fun. Don't be doing that. Same thing if you're lifting somebody off the ground, the risk of tearing a nerve root becomes a real injury. You don't want to be doing that. So just if you can do it yourself, do it yourself. If it takes somebody else, go see a professional to have a professional do it. So let's talk real quick about the two things that I recommend to get the best cavitation, one for your neck and one for your back. For your lower back, you're going to lay down on your back. You're going to bring your knees up, and then you're going to keep your back touching the surface, and you're going to let your legs come over all the way to one side slowly, and then all the ways to the other side slowly. And if you're going to get a cavitation, that's how you're going to get a cavitation in your lower back. Don't force anything. It should just be a light stretch. You keep your back on the bed or on the floor, and their legs are able to go over as far as they can to either side. Best way to get a cavitation in the lower back, right? So the best way to get a cavitation in your neck, here you go, ready, is a stretch that I like to offer up. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with your palms facing out. So your palms face out here. And then you're going to depress your shoulders, right? So you see how I'm depressing my shoulders? That's the stretch part of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tip my head to the side, hold right there, and then depress that shoulder to the side. And as I move my neck forward and backward, what I can end up getting is some cavitation. And you can try that trick to get good cavitation in your neck without that rotational component that is the dangerous component, right? So it's I see you there. It's good to see you too, but I don't want you here if you don't have to be here. So those are two quick stretches for your lower back and for your neck to get some things to crack and to pop and crackle in your spine. And if in the comments you have something equally safe or maybe not so safe that you want some opinions on, I would be happy to look in these comments later and see what your favorite things are to get your spine moving. But safety is key here, right? So like I just said, it goes from I tore a muscle to I tore a nerve root to I died because I was twisting my own neck. And there's some reports in the papers about some very well-known people ending up in that scenario. Don't let that be you. Make sure that you're doing this safely. I would rather see you here, even if it seemed mildly unnecessary, than to have you end up with some of these bad side effects because you tried to do it yourself. So anyways, that's all I have for this evening. Happy stretching, happy self-manipulating. Do it safely, please. That's it for this episode. I will see you next Wednesday for another Wednesday Night Wellness Live. In the meantime, have a wonderful week.